Hello, everyone, and welcome to TTG's latest face-to-face interview. This morning, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Lisa Lutoff-Perlo, President and CEO of Celebrity Cruises. Lisa, how are you doing? Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Hi, Tom. I'm great. I hope you are as well, and all of your listeners and readers are, as we, find our way to the other side of the crazy year we've all lived through.
Absolutely, yeah. Hopefully, we'll find our way to the other side pretty quickly, actually. And
Yeah.
Lisa, I suppose it's been quite the last kind of few weeks for you and the brand. Can you try and kind of sum up what it means to, after such a long time of suspensions and pausing, to be planning these restarts in the UK, in Europe, in the Caribbean? What does that feel like to finally get to this point?
Oh, yeah, I don't know if I can put it into words, honestly. We've been, when this all first started, we were all frantically trying to get our guests and crew home. And then we were trying to, that took a few months, and then we just needed to pause and reflect and see what was going to happen. And all of this has gone on way longer than we wanted it to. And as we've been thinking about this, we've just been dreaming about the day that we can start sailing these beautiful ships again. And finally, as the world is opening up, as things are getting better, as vaccines are becoming, more and more readily available to everybody, all of the different places that we finally been able to start up have been very welcoming. And so the Millennium out of St. Martin's, Celebrity Apex, which is going to welcome its first guests ever out of Athens, which is such a beautiful cruise that, oh, by the way, I will be on myself. And now the latest with Silhouette out of the UK. So the team is now really busy getting started again, and that just feels really good.
Yeah, I absolutely love the line in the Apex press release where you mentioned your own delayed honeymoon, honeymoon
Yes. No.
anniversary
Yes, my
celebrations.
anniversary. Yes. Yeah. No, that
Honeymoon.
honeymoon was a long time ago.
And, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. It was really good. And I was going to actually ask you, is there a particular moment this summer that you're most looking forward to? And is it that Apex launch? Because obviously for us in the UK this time last year, we were looking forward to for her launch in the UK, but obviously circumstances
Right.
were what they were. Does that add extra kind of poignance to the fact that it
Yeah.
is close to home and you're having it in Europe? And kind of how does that feel?
It feels great. I'm actually going in September on Celebrity Apex, but I will also tell you we planned a big family vacation on Celebrity Millennium out of St. Martin in July. And so, yes, so my family is anxious to get back cruising again, but it's really lovely to have Apex welcoming guests for the first time out of Athens in June. And I will tell you that I only was able to visit her for the first time myself in January.
Wow.
And we took delivery of her in late March, our virtual delivery, and it was 10 months before I could actually walk on the ship. And that ship is so stunning. I didn't think anything could be more beautiful than Celebrity Edge, but Celebrity Apex is even in some spaces more beautiful. And it was bittersweet because I also knew she hadn't been able to welcome any guests yet, but that's soon going to change.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And to take you back to last year, kind of what's this time last year, it's been just over a year now in the pandemic. What's it been like to lead a cruise company without being able to sail? It sounds like such an oxymoron, doesn't it, of a question, but what's it been like for you personally? And you're kind of looking after your team, because there's been a lot of rightly so coverage around mental health and kind of keeping everyone motivated and driven during that time. What's that been like for you, Lisa, to kind of lead that from celebrity side?
Well, I've been in this role for almost 7 years now, and yeah, I'm in my seventh year, and I've held a lot of leadership positions before this, where I've had tens of thousands of people that counted on me to keep them motivated and going. But I do have to say, this has been quite a new experience, I think, for all of us as leaders, leading through a time when your business is completely shut down and giving people hope, motivation, inspiration, that it will end, even though we don't know when, to a full degree, although as we just were talking about, it's starting now. But I just know that as a leader, I've had to dig deep for different things that I probably have as a leader. And what I've realized during this time is that some things that are innate in me as a leader have had to, be elevated, amplified, and other things de-amplified or de-emphasized, because while I've always led with my head and a lot of my heart, I think those things have been inversed over the last year, because in addition to our business being shut down, you know, people are going through a lot themselves personally, not seeing their families, not being able to send their kids to school, working out of their home, being disconnected from everyone, even though we're all on these Zoom calls all the time. It's still not the same. And that whole human connection is really important. We were not meant to live this way. And you know, and while they have belief that this will all end, you know, there's also a little bit of uncertainty. So it's been quite a year as a leader. And I think, you know, the telling part for me is when my own team members have told me individually that I'm a much different leader during this pandemic than I was before. And I think that's a good thing, because what it shows is you can pivot. And we really do need to lead people differently in different situations and circumstances.
Yeah, that's absolutely fascinating. Actually, it's a question that I was planning to ask you a bit later on about how you think you developed as a leader, but we may as well get into it now. Do you have any particular examples of kind of things that you've surprised yourself, or things that you've learned perhaps that are taking that you kind of didn't think about before, or those examples of your colleagues saying, you know, actually you're a different leader now? That's an interesting thing to kind of say.
Yeah, well, you know, listen, I'm a driver. I don't think anybody that gets to this position isn't a driver, right? And there's a lot of pressure to perform and get the results we need. And you know, every day that we would wake up, it was commercially focused, and it was all in the spirit of achieving our metrics and being successful, because we promised it to our chairman and CEO. We promised it to our board, and of course, you have to deliver on every single day. And when you're out of business, you don't have those metrics that you're working toward, and so and you've got people worried about what's going to happen. And there's so much. You know, one of the other things that someone asked me once is, for someone who loves to be in control and really, you know, wants to be in control, how does it feel to, you know, have no control over what's going on? And you really have to, again, dig deep and you know, exert a lot of self-reflection to be okay in an ambiguous situation.
Mm.
And so then at a certain point in time, I thought, you know what, we can't just be focused on this pandemic and being out of business. We need to focus on our future. And, you know, I said that to myself because I really wanted our team optimistic, and I wanted them focused on the future. And so we did a lot of strategy work, and we've done a lot of onboard experience work, and we've done a lot of thinking about our segmentation and what our brand should be coming out of this, and who we want our guests to be coming out of this. And so that really pivoted the team and gave them something to look forward to, and motivated them in a really profound way. And I think for us at Celebrity, that was very different than what's going on in the rest of the industry. The rest of the industry is just focused on the pandemic and what it's going to take to come out of this. And we're trying to say, okay, we're going to come out of this. This is going to end someday. Who do we want to be, and what do we want to be as a brand? And what do we want our position to be in this industry? And how do we strengthen that? And so that really gave the team a lot of positive things to work on. And so I guess I just pivoted from the pressure and the drive and the results to, okay, let's take a deep breath, and let's think about our future, and let's keep this all going. And I think people appreciated that a lot.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I could really kind of nail into that and kind of see all the things that you're planning for the future. I imagine probably none that you'd be able to disclose at the moment, but thinking ahead, actually, fantastic mug. Actually, I love that you're talking about brands, Lisa. You are always on brand. Fantastic there with that mug. Yeah, speaking about the future, maybe obviously there's a lot of ships around the UK this summer,
Yeah.
due to the situation. I wanted to ask kind of how you think Celebrity, obviously with the newly revolutionized silhouette, will stand out in quite a crowded marketplace. Actually, it's turned out to be. What do you think? What are kind of some of your key USPs that you think will make people choose Celebrity over some of your rivals sailing around a similar area?
Yeah, so you know, we really think a lot about our brand and how we're differentiated, and I really do believe that the UK market appreciates that. Both you that write for the industry, as well as our travel partners, and also consumers. You know, we're this sort of new luxury brand that has its own little niche, and yeah, we know a lot of other brands are sailing around the coast of the UK within a few months, but I really think that our focus on our guest experience and how we make people feel, and the things that we stand for, and the reputation and the brand that we have built up over the last, I don't know, 7 years or so, and our brand positioning of new luxury. I think the British consumer really understands that. And if, you know, as long as they are like-minded in terms of the things that we care about and they care about, and also the experiences we deliver, I think we'll do very well. We have, you know, we have no worry regarding all the other brands that are out there. They all have their own niche, but I think Celebrity is a special brand that that stands for a lot, and I believe it will serve us well as we start up in this crowded space this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. It has become quite an interesting marketplace, hasn't it, for the summer? Talking about kind of consumers and how the British public, your vaccination policy that you've been doing at Royal Caribbean Group with, you know, fully vaccinated adults and under 18s showing test results. Kind of how did you come to that? I know you've got the healthy sale panel and you've got your experts working on that. You know, how did that kind of come about? Different lines have done different things, and do you think perhaps it might be a bit problematic in future if different lines are operating different policies, or do you think it's kind of each to their own and they can decide what they want to do?
Well, one of the things I think that's really interesting about this, Tom, is again, as I've realized over this last year, is things are changing at warp speed, you know, and I do believe that this vaccination policy is something that is important right now, so that people feel like they're going to be in an environment where they're healthy and safe. And again, we've talked to our healthy sale panel and they're fully supportive of that. And we wanted to get back and we wanted to prove that, you know, this unique environment that is on a ship is a very controllable environment where people can probably have the healthiest and safest vacation in the world if they're on a cruise. And one of the things that I realize, even as I, you know, dip my toe in the water of going different places, you know, here I live in South Florida, and there are a lot of tourists in South Florida. And let me tell you, they're not doing anything. They're not wearing masks. They don't need to be vaccinated. And I look at all of that and I think, you know, this is okay, but it's not okay to, you know, for cruising to operate. And so I think as a company, I can only speak for our company, we've decided the right thing to do for right now is to have this policy so that we are able to start up and provide a very healthy and safe environment and prove that our industry, despite, you know, the rub we've had over this last year, which, you know, is, you know, we don't need to talk about how we feel about that, but you know, but I think that that's something that we felt important as we start up. And I do think over time, I don't know what time that will be, that could change as well. Because look where we were like 6 months ago with 74 protocols and blah, 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 and a conditional CSO that's completely obsolete now. So, you know, we're trying to be agile and we're trying to do what we believe is the right thing to do at this time so that we can start up and everybody can have just a wonderful vacation and feel like they're in a healthy and safe environment.
Yeah, that's a good point, Lisa. Actually, you mentioned that the CSO, and you mentioned obviously Florida as well. Does that kind of contradiction frustrate you? I know that Clear in the US have come out and they're constantly battering down the door of the CDC, and there's been a lot of political pressure from Florida and from Miami on the CDC. Does it frustrate you as a, you know, the boss of a major cruise brand that things in the US aren't as maybe as movable as they are in Europe and the UK around a restart?
You know, I think that, you know, as more time goes on, certainly there's more discussion, and a lot of people, you know, we talked about Florida, but even Alaska's been hit terribly hard due to this long and elongated suspension of cruising. And I think people who run these states, who are either governors or senators or in Congress, are concerned and believe that we're at a point where the dialogue should be accelerated with the CDC. And you know, I do know that the CDC, we're in a new administration. They're doing an amazing job getting everybody vaccinated. You know, they came into a situation that was less than ideal for them. And so I don't believe it's purposeful, it's sort of ignoring the cruise industry. I just think that they've had so much to focus on during these past few months. But I do believe it's time, and I do believe they're standing up and taking notice. But the other thing I think that we all believe is important, that our ability to start up safely in other parts of the world, like we already have, you know, we're Royal sailing out of Singapore, 2 week sailing. And MSC has been sailing, and the industry is performing extraordinarily well. And we believe that's also going to be helpful for the CDC to understand that, you know, cruising can happen, and it can happen very, very safely.
Yeah, it's getting that body of evidence, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah,
And practical, actually
sure.
showing that it can work. And actually speaking about that, in terms of this summer for demand, kind of what demand from the UK are you seeing? And I suppose demand kind of goes hand in hand with capacity, right? Do you
Sure.
have an idea of kind of how many guests you'll be able to have on board at the moment, and kind of how does that kind of demand? Will it be easy to sell out the ships? I imagine there's a lot of consumers who want to get on board, but have you had any thought of what capacity might look like this summer?
Yes, well, certainly we will be sailing at a reduced capacity, and it will start lower than it will end, and we will, you know, slowly but surely ramp up, you know, somewhere 50, 60, 70% range. We believe there's a lot of tremendous pent up demand. You know, we don't open for bookings until April 6th, I believe, the Tuesday after Easter Sunday. And so we will see next week what what it looks like in terms of actual bookings. But what I will say is we're monitoring the activity on our websites and what's happened after the announcement, and it's really gone through the roof. So we're quite excited about that. And in speaking to all of our trade partners and also our press partners, you're all excited about it, and so we're looking forward to a robust booking week next week. And that's another thing where, you know, our load factors will be managed. So you'll be in an environment. We have a very high space ratio per guest, probably among the highest in the industry anyway. And so at a reduced capacity, it should be even more comfortable for guests to feel confident in booking a cruise vacation.
Fantastic stuff. And obviously, with the UK, with our kind of travel restrictions at the moment and the government's policy on international travel, obviously with Apex kind of tantalizingly closed almost
I know.
in Greece, are you hoping that, over the next few months of the summer, that the UK guests will be able to once those restrictions go down, they'll be able to get on Apex in Greece, they'll be able to go to the Caribbean, and hopefully, is that kind of the plan maybe to once these UK restrictions go, to get the guests overseas?
Oh yes, absolutely. And the UK team feels very strongly that the British guests will definitely, when they can travel, go take their short flight to Athens and get on the beautiful Celebrity Apex. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are interested in that ship. As we were talking about earlier, she was supposed to make her debut in the UK, and she's fabulous. So we're very much hoping that we have a good representation from the UK on especially Apex, and hopefully even Millennium out of St. Martin.
And in terms of kind of, Celebrity is always known for its innovation, and as you alluded to earlier, Lisa, that you're already thinking ahead to kind of post-COVID, post-pandemic. It might be quite a difficult kind of question to ask, and sorry if it's quite a high concept, but kind of what do you think the impact of the pandemic will be on the industry, going ahead for the next few years? What kind of things do you think that the industry has learned for the better, and what do you think it'll like to kind of keep those permanent changes and move forward through that?
So I've had a couple of quotes that I've kept in my head ever since the pandemic started. One is Richard Fain came up with very early on, and he said, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." And the other that I personally adopted and coined was, "Every day I wake up, I look for the silver lining in the COVID-19 cloud." And so I think that if you take those two things and you put them together, we didn't waste this crisis, and we really thought about our experience. And well, the pandemic did shine a light on some of the things that we should probably do differently forever, because that's just the right thing to do, whether it's expanding the medical facilities or, we've always had the highest quality HVAC systems and have even improved some of those on some of our collective corporate fleets. And even the health and sanitation protocols, we're going to elevate those, and those will last forever. So there's a lot of good things that came out of that were good learnings that we're going to carry forward. And I also believe, though, and I was having this conversation with someone last night, and we truly believe that once this is behind us, the demand is going to go through the roof. There are a lot of things that prove that to us. First of all, as I had said earlier, we're not meant to live this way. We're not meant to live in our little rooms in our homes for a year at a time and have no social contact. we are not meant to not travel and experience the world and other people. And so there will be a way that we can do that and feel good about that again. And oh, by the way, people haven't done things for so long. You know, if you look at all the statistics around savings, I mean, people haven't been saving this much money for decades. And so there's going to be a tremendous amount of pent up demand that I think will last. And I also think people have learned that they don't want to squander the opportunity that they have to travel, because look what happened to us. You know, no one ever thought this would ever happen, right? We'd all be stuck in our homes and discouraged from traveling or being with anyone. So I believe that the future is really bright. And I believe that demand for travel in general and cruising is going to be quite robust. For a very long period of time. We'll probably come out of this and do extraordinarily well for the next at least 3 to 5 years. I don't believe it's going to take a long ramp up.
Yeah, because that's the question I know that a lot of you know, leaders such as yourself have been asked in the press, haven't they, when they think demand will come back. Will it take, you know, a few years to come back? And there's obviously that kind of 9/11 comparison sometimes, because it's probably the closest thing to, you know, crazy kind of event that's happened. But you think it'll come straight back, and that people have been stewing and waiting to get back on board?
Yeah. I think that I hear the same comparisons, but I think very, very different circumstances. And I believe that the demand will be quite robust when all of this is pretty far behind us, and you know, the majority of the world is vaccinated, and you know, the pandemic has you know, has reached a certain level, and you know, the reality is that everything that's happening is not going to stop people from getting COVID. You know, it will happen, but being worried about getting hospitalized and dying will pretty much diminish, and it will, you know, it will eventually change how people perceive, even if they do get it. So, you know, me being fully vaccinated, I know that I could still get it or carry it, but I'm not so worried about it anymore, because whatever happens, my symptoms will be very mild, and it will all, you know, it just gives you, you know, I know that not 100% of the people agree with me, but I'll tell you, when I got my second shot, it was like I felt liberated. And it's a really good feeling.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, that's amazing to hear. So you're fully vaccinated. You've got both your. It's obviously, of course, the president and CEO can come on her own ships. Of course, that's great.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. If I want to cruise, I'm going to be vaccinated. But even if before we started up and knew we were starting up, I was like, as soon as I could get that vaccine, I was getting that vaccine. And so, yes, because have you had yours, Tom?
No, I think so. I think I'm in the lowest kind of bottom rung in the UK. I think
Yeah.
perhaps June, maybe for my first. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, I don't know. It just feels liberating. It just is like, wow, okay. You know, it's
Yeah.
like a badge of honor. I carry my little vaccination card. Yeah, it's a badge of honor.
That's fantastic. Well, Lisa, just finally, really, I know that you're very big on brand purpose and on travel for good, and for having a real reason for it. What do you think kind of perhaps the legacy, I know it might even be too early to say, but what do you think the legacy of COVID will be on kind of the celebrity brand? I know you mentioned earlier that you were looking ahead past that. Is there any kind of ideals for making, you know, travel for good? There's been a lot of ideas about making tourism kind of benefit destinations in countries that haven't had much tourism at the moment, or kind of helping those societies through the pandemic. Is there any kind of ideas that you've got on that, or any kind of plans or hopes that you want to kind of help on that front at all? Or
Yeah, so you know, there's a couple things. I think that one of the things that we were working on we were very focused on, and the team was making great progress on, was our new positive impact tours program. And as we're looking at coming back, we are looking at now the destinations that we're coming back to start these up finally. We had great hopes for Europe. We had picked a couple of destinations. Greece and Dubrovnik were two of them, and Alaska was the third, where we were working in partnership with the communities to understand where can we really help contribute to the local economy, and help people, local artisans and local companies, not, you know, always big companies, but really get deep into the destinations that we're visiting and help in a meaningful way, and also some volunteer opportunities for our guests as well. And so as we continue to think about that, I think that that's one of the things that we're really going to amplify as we as we come out of the pandemic. And we've got a lovely array of those now in the plan for some of the destinations that we're going to be visiting. And, you know, we're always thinking about diversity and inclusion and how we can do better at that. And we've made so much progress in that regard. And even though we haven't been sailing for a year, we're still very focused on that. And then of course our sustainability efforts. And now as we start all of these ships up, we're going to do exactly what we did with Celebrity Edge when we first started her up, and reduce guest single-use plastics by over 90% across our entire fleet. And you know, we haven't talked about Celebrity Beyond yet, but she will be coming out next year. We have a great announcement about her coming up in about a month or so. And as we continue to build these ships and develop these ships, you know, we continue to make them more environmentally friendly and with a big focus on sustainability as well.
That's absolutely brilliant. Can you tease that Beyond
No,
announcement? Does it have, I was going to say, does it have any relevance to...
No, but it'll give me a good opportunity to talk to you again in a very short period of time.
Fantastic. Well, that sounds like a brilliant reason. All the best. Well, Lisa, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for chatting with us today, and all the best. I know you've been incredibly busy. You're restarting in multiple countries, multiple regions, but I'm sure your team and you'll do a great job. But thank you very much for joining us, Lisa. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Tom. It's always a pleasure talking to you. You take care, and I'll see you soon. In person, live.
Oh, absolutely.
Ciao, my friend. Bye.
Thank you.